The phone was still ringing when Desi saw his father's body on the floor. March 14, 1973, 3:47 p.m. The Beverly Hills Hotel bungalow that had been Desiderio Arnaz Sr.'s refuge for 20 years. The maid, Elena, stood frozen in the doorway, her screams caught in her throat. She'd found him first, called Desi, then couldn't move. But it was Desi who pushed past her, who dropped to his knees, who tried to find a pulse in a wrist already growing cold. "Papa, please," he whispered, tears falling. "Papa, no, not like this. Not alone." The phone kept ringing. Lucy calling, the maid would later testify. She'd been calling all morning, desperate to reach Desi before he found out this way. Too late. Always too late. What happened in the next 48 hours would destroy what was left of Desi's relationship with Lucy forever, or so he thought. The Arnaz men had always been complicated. Father and son, both refugees from Cuba, both proud, both broken by exile. But while young Desi conquered Hollywood, his father lived in the shadows, a ghost of the aristocrat he'd once been. He was still wearing his wedding ring, the coroner noted. Not his ring from his current marriage, the one from Cuba, from before the revolution stole everything. But to understand why Desi blamed Lucy, you need to know what happened 3 nights earlier. The Polo Lounge, midnight. Witnesses saw them arguing, Desi Sr. and Lucy, facing each other across a table meant for lovers, not enemies. But before we get to that confrontation, you need to understand the man Desiderio Arnaz Sr. had become. Once the mayor of Santiago de Cuba, owner of 3 ranches and a mansion with 50 rooms. Now, a 70-year-old exile living on his famous son's guilt and his ex-daughter-in-law's charity. Eddie Martinez, the bellhop, knew him well. Every morning, same routine. Black coffee, Cuban style. Herald opened to the obituaries, looking for names from the old country. The drinking started after noon. Always rum, always Bacardi, the company his family had helped build, now an empire built on their exile. He'd sit by the pool, recalled actress Diane Foster, sometimes muttering in Spanish, "My son owns this town, but I'm a ghost in it." The tragedy was that Desi Sr. had tried to rebuild. Restaurant in the 50s, failed. Import business, failed. Every venture ended the same way. The Arnaz name they wanted belonged to the son, not the father. He was proud of Junior, said Carmen Valdez, who'd known both Arnaz men since Cuba. But imagine, your teenage son becomes richer than you ever were. You're just Desi's dad. It ate at him. Which brings us back to that night at the Polo Lounge. "You're killing him," the old man said in accented English. Lucy's famous red hair caught the candlelight as she leaned forward. "He's killing himself, Papa. And you're helping him." The bartender, Jimmy Morrison, later told police he'd never seen Lucille Ball look so fierce. Or so desperate. She'd ordered vodka, straight. Lucy never drank vodka. The old man was shaking, Morrison recalled. Not from fear. From rage. Pure rage. What nobody knew was that Lucy had been secretly paying for Desi Sr.'s hotel room for 5 years. Every month, a check from Desilu Productions, $2,000. Every month, a promise extracted, keep him away from Junior when he's drinking. The son never knew. The father never told. Pride, that Cuban curse. Desi Sr. stood up so fast his chair fell. "You think you can buy a father's love? You think you can keep my boy from me with your money? I'm trying to save him," Lucy whispered. "From becoming you." Those words. Those terrible words that would echo 3 days later when, crash. That's the sound Desi heard when he entered the bungalow. A lamp falling as his father's body convulsed one last time. The heart attack had taken him mid-stride, reaching for something on the mantel. A photograph. Desi picked it up with shaking hands. It showed 3 people, himself at 16, fresh off the boat from Cuba. His father, still dignified despite losing everything. And Lucy, barely 20, her arm around them both. The day they'd first met her. On the back, in his father's handwriting, "The day we gained a daughter and lost a son." That's when Desi saw the letter, half hidden under his father's body. His name on the envelope. Inside, 3 pages of cramped Spanish that would change everything. "My son," it began. "If you are reading this, then I am gone, and you must know the truth about that woman you married." But the truth was more complex than any letter could capture. Bang! The office door slammed against the wall. Lucy's assistant screamed. Standing in the doorway, Fidel Castro's former enforcer, Raul Mendoza, the blackmailer. "Mrs. Ball, we have unfinished business." Desi went pale. This was his father's nightmare. "Get out now," Lucy said. "Your father-in-law owed me. Now his son pays." Lucy opened her drawer, pulled out photos. Mendoza at crime scenes, meeting killers, bribing judges, one phone call to the FBI. Your men outside, already arrested. Threaten my family again, you won't see trial. For once, Mendoza looked afraid. Of a red-headed actress. He left without a word. How did you? Desi whispered. I chose to use my past to protect our future. The letter detailed dates, amounts, threats, the secret payments, the times Lucy had called the hotel, warning them not to let Desi Sr. see his son, the lawyers she'd hired to investigate the old man's connections, the private detective who'd followed him for months. But the worst part was the date. 3 nights ago, the same night as their argument at the Polo Lounge. She told me I would never see you again, the letter continued. That she had enough evidence to have me deported. That I was a danger to you, to the children. She said you were better off thinking I was dead. Desi's hands shook. The paper rustled like autumn leaves. The maid, Elena, found him like that 20 minutes later. Kneeling beside his father, the letter crushed in his fist, repeating one word over and over, Lucy. The funeral was set for 3 days later. But first came the confrontation. Lucy was in her office at Universal Studios when Desi burst in. Her secretary, Wanda, later said she'd never seen him like that, wild-eyed, unshaven, smelling of rum at 10 in the morning. You killed him, Desi said, not shouting. Worse, quiet, cold. Lucy stood slowly. Desi, I don't know what you think. I found the letter. He threw it on her desk. 3 nights before he died, you threatened him. You said he'd never see me again. His heart couldn't take it. That's not what happened. Then what? What happened, Lucy? She walked to the window, looking out at the lot where they'd built an empire together, where they'd filmed 180 episodes of I Love Lucy, where their dreams had come true and fallen apart. Your father was planning something, she said finally. He'd been in contact with some men from Miami, old connections from Cuba. They wanted to use you, Desi, use your fame, your money, for their cause. Liar, am I? She turned, and for the first time, Desi saw she'd been crying. Check his bank account. Check the Western Union transfers. $50,000 in the last month alone. Where do you think that money was going? But Desi was beyond listening. The letter burned in his mind. His father's final words, she took you from me long ago. Don't let her keep you even after I'm gone. What happened next, nobody could have predicted. Suddenly, the door burst open. Little Desi, Desi Jr., now 20 and battling his own demons, stood there, eyes wild, hands shaking. Stop it, he screamed. Both of you, stop it. The sight of him froze both parents. Their son, their baby, looked like a ghost himself. Thin from his struggles with drugs, dark circles under his eyes, wearing the same clothes from 3 days ago. He called me, Junior said, voice breaking. Grandpa called me that night, after he saw you, Mom. He was crying. Do you know how many times I heard my grandfather cry? Once. That night. Lucy reached for him, but he stepped back, nearly stumbling. He told me everything. About the blackmail. About the men from Miami. About how they threatened to release photos from Cuba, from the brothels the family owned before the revolution. Photos that would have destroyed Dad's career. Desi Sr. turned pale. What photos? The family business, Dad, Junior said bitterly. The one nobody talks about. Great-grandfather's real fortune. Not just Bacardi. Not just the ranches. The other properties. The ones with the red doors. The silence in the office was deafening. Even the lot outside seemed to hold its breath. Security guards pressed their ears to the door, afraid to enter. Grandpa spent everything he had trying to buy those photos back, Junior continued, pulling papers from his jacket. Look, Western Union receipts. $50,000. His entire savings. When he ran out of money, they came for you. That's when Mom stepped in. He threw the papers on the desk, then pulled out a tape recorder, a small Sony that clicked as he pressed play. His grandfather's voice filled the room, broken and tired. Mijo, your mother, Lucy, she saved us. But I'm too proud to live with that shame. A man who cannot protect his family is no man at all. Tell your father, tell him I'm sorry. For everything. For the sins of our fathers. For the price of our pride. The tape clicked off. Junior rewound it, played the last part again. For the price of our pride. Again. The price of our pride. He recorded this an hour before he died, Junior whispered. 1 hour. He knew his heart was failing. He knew, and he spent his last moments trying to protect you from the truth. Desi grabbed the award from Lucy's shelf, their first Emmy for I Love Lucy, and threw it through the window. Glass exploded outward, raining down on the lot below. That's what you did, he screamed. You broke everything. My family, my father, U.S. Security rushed in, but Lucy waved them away. She knew Desi, knew his rage would burn out, leaving only ash and regret. I was protecting you, she said quietly, just like always. Protecting me? Desi laughed, but it sounded like sobbing. You isolated him, made him feel worthless. And for what? So you could control everything. Your father was a broken man, Desi. The revolution broke him. Exile broke him. Watching you succeed while he withered broke him. I didn't kill him. Time did. But Desi was already at the door. He turned back once, his face a mask of grief and fury. We're done, Lucy. Whatever was left between us died with him. The funeral was a Hollywood affair, despite everything. Sinatra came. Dean Martin stood in the back, flask in hand. Even Lucy appeared, dressed in black, keeping her distance. The industry watched, fascinated by the drama. Here was real life outplaying any script, the king and queen of television, torn apart by ghosts from Cuba. Walter Winchell wrote in his column, "The Arnaz funeral was Hollywood's heart laid bare. Everyone came to mourn the father but watched the son. The real drama wasn't in the casket, it was in the pews." He didn't write what he really saw, Desi stumbling, smelling of rum at 10 a.m. Lucy's hands shaking as she held her rosary. The children caught between their warring parents. Hollywood royalty witnessing the fall of its greatest love story. What the columnists didn't report was what happened in the parking lot before the service. Dean Martin intercepted Desi at his car. "Let her be," Dean said simply. "Stay out of this, Dino. I buried my son. The dead don't care about our anger. Only the living suffer." Dean grabbed his arm. "Your old man knew about Lucy protecting you, told me at the Friars Club, said she was more of a man than he ever was. You're lying." Dean showed a bar napkin. "Tell my boy the truth. Lucy saved us all." "He was drunk," Desi said, voice cracking. "In vino veritas, paisano." Inside the chapel, Hollywood gathered. Lucille Ball in the back row, tears streaming. Gary Morton tried to comfort her. She shrugged him off. This wasn't his grief. Young Lucy Arnaz broke protocol, left her father's side, took the seat beside her mother. Photographers went wild. The image would make every front page. Father Hernandez spoke of redemption, of fathers and sons, of the price of exile. But Desi heard none of it. He stared at the coffin, seeing not the broken old man but the mayor of Santiago, the aristocrat, the father who'd carried him on his shoulders through marble halls. After the service, Lucy approached. Photographers tensed, sensing drama. "There's something else," she said quietly. "Something I didn't tell you." Desi turned away. "I don't want to hear it. Your father came to see me that night at the Polo Lounge. Not the other way around." She paused. "He wanted to borrow money. A lot of money. When I asked why, he broke down. He was being blackmailed, Desi, by people who knew things about the old days in Cuba. Things that could have destroyed your career. More lies. I paid them." Her voice was steady now. "I paid them to go away, to leave him alone, to leave you alone. That's what we were arguing about. He was ashamed that I knew, ashamed that he couldn't protect his own son." Desi finally looked at her, really looked, saw the exhaustion, the grief, the love that never died despite everything. "I have the receipts," Lucy continued, "the wire transfers, the signed agreements. I kept it all, knowing this day might come." She handed him an envelope. Inside, proof of everything. Payments to men with Cuban names. Threats neutralized. A son protected by an ex-wife who couldn't stop loving him. "He wasn't reaching for the photograph when he died," Lucy said softly. "He was reaching for this." She pulled out a second envelope. "He was going to mail it to you, to explain everything, to thank me for protecting you, even if it meant you'd hate me for it." Desi opened it with trembling hands. His father's writing, shakier now. "My son, forgive her. She did what I could not. She saved you, not from me, but from my mistakes. A man's pride is nothing compared to his child's future. I die knowing you are safe. That is enough." The cemetery was almost empty now. Just two people standing over a fresh grave, the California sun casting long shadows. "I destroyed us for nothing," Desi whispered. "No," Lucy said. "We destroyed ourselves long ago, but we saved what mattered. The children, the children." They stood in silence, two people who'd loved each other, hurt each other, built an empire and watched it crumble. But in that moment, they were just two parents who tried their best. "He loved you," Lucy said finally, "more than his pride, more than his past. He just didn't know how to show it without destroying you." "Like I loved you," Desi replied. "Like I didn't know how to love you without destroying us." Lucy took his hand. For a moment, they were young again, fresh-faced kids ready to conquer Hollywood. Then the moment passed. "Take care of yourself, Desi. You too, redhead." She walked away, leaving him alone with his ghosts. The father he'd never really known. The marriage he'd never really saved. The love that burned too bright and left only ashes. Years later, dying of lung cancer, Desi would call Lucy one last time. "I understand now," he'd say. "About Papa. About you." "We did our best," she'd reply. "Was it enough? It has to be." But that was years away. For now, only a man at his father's grave, holding two letters, lies and truth, pain and love, trying to understand how the same person could write both. The sun set over Los Angeles. Somewhere, Babalu played, and Desi could swear he heard his father singing along.